Hey guys, I know I made a lot of attempts to get this video out, but like it's just I'm just trying to get it out for you guys. And the reason I'm rereading the first creepypasta is because the first Sonic.EXE creepypasta is because felt like the first one I did was just rushed, and and I felt like I had no time. So I'm gonna give you a reread of Sonic.EXE, and I'm gonna try. And throughout the story, I'm gonna try to make it more bearable to read. Here we go. I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played any glitchy or hack games before, though I don't think I want to play anymore after the experience I had. Started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I like how you get to explore the towns in the game. Until I noticed on my peripheral vision that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case with a disc in it and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note at first and I realized it was from my dear friend Kyle. Let's just call him that, whom I hadn't seen or heard from in about 2 weeks. I know that because I recognized his handwriting, though it was weird. It looked scratchy, it looked brushed. It was difficult to read. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late. I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me. If you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He is too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this god-forsaken disc before he comes after you too. It is too late for me. Destroy the disc and you'll destroy him. Do it quickly, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please. Kyle. Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle was my best friend, I hadn't seen him in like 2 weeks. Didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyways, I took a look at the disc. It looked like an ordinary CD-ROM disc. It had writing from a black marker, most likely a Sharpie. What was written was Sonic.exe, and it was much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning he must have gotten it from someone or somewhere, like from like a yard sale or a pawn shop, or even eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually pretty excited and I wanted to play it since I'm a really big fan of Sonic. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed it was the first Sonic game, and I was like, awesome, because, like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split second. The title screen turned into something weird, something disturbing, before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like in that split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined, the Sega 1991 was now a Sega 666, and the water had turned red like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. I'm gonna have to say that, man. But the freakiest thing was in that split second was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding, two glowing red dots staring right at me. His smile had stretched wider to the edge of his face. After it cut to black, and I thought it was just a glitch, and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about like 10 seconds or so. Then another weird thing happened. The save select from Sonic 3 popped up. I was like, what the hell? What the hell is this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, then I noticed something off about the background. The background was that dark, cloudy sky of Stardust Speedway Bad Future from Sonic CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was that creepy Caverns of Winter theme from Earthbound, only it was extended and seemed to have been in reverse. And the level image for the save file where you see the image where you see a preview of the level, on the save file you're on is just red static for all 3 of the files. What freaked me out was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Eggman? Now I'm sure something was up. I mean, how the hell can you play as Dr. Eggman in a Sonic game, for crying out loud? Unless it was a spin-off title. That's when I realized it wasn't a glitchy game. It was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was pretty weird, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. I really tried not to be. I told myself that it was just a hacked game. There was nothing wrong about that. Anyway, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails. The game froze for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh. It sounded a lot like Kefka from Final Fantasy. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more, and then it showed the typical level title thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red, and the text only showed Hail Act 1. The screen faded and the level title vanished, revealing Tails from Green Hill from Sonic 1. The music was different, though. It wasn't what would play if you were actually in Green Hill in the games. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started walking as Tails, like in any of the Sonic games you'd play at the time. What was odd was that as Tails was running along the level, there was nothing but flat ground, a few palm trees, and flowers for about 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into deep, slow tones as I kept going. I suddenly saw something. I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals you saved from the badniks, lying dead on the ground, bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face. Something like fear, too. I never saw a sprite like Tail. I never saw an expression on his sprite before, so I had to move along. He kept that worried look on his face as he kept moving. As he saw more Tails, as Tails saw more dead animals, he looked more and more worried and afraid as the music lowers and he moves past more of the dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like they were killed in rather gruesome and brutal ways. Or Ricky was hanging on a tree, what appeared to be his entrails hanging out. A Poggy had all 4 of its limbs torn off. A Flicky had its eyes gouged out and its neck slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre. And so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails going, though. After the minute passed, Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why he stopped. Sonic was on the other side of the screen, with his back turned against Tails, with his eyes closed, leaning on a tree. Tails looked pretty happy to see Sonic, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't really responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious to Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic. I noticed that he wasn't even moving the keyboard to make him move, so this had to have been a cutscene or something. Suddenly, I began to grow a growing feeling of dread as Tails got closer to Sonic. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen to him. I heard faint static growing louder and louder as Tails was but inches away from the hedgehog and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That forbidden feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes opened. They were like the same ones from the title screen, though there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound had turned off. It stayed black for like about 10 or 7 seconds, and then white text appeared, forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was kind of weirded out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but curiosity got the best of me, and I was taken to a different level, with the level title now being Hide and Seek. This time I was in Angel Island Act 2 from Sonic 3. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made a frantic pointing gesture as he wanted me to get him the hell out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the fourth wall, telling me to get him out of there. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could to make him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow on the Ark as Robotnik starts playing, as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly I heard that creepy laugh, that awful Kefka-esque laugh. Right after 10 seconds had passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest, I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those weird black and red eyes. The music's changed to the drowning music as I saw Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him. He was flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was flying. The flying pose on his sprite was similar to Metal Sonic's from Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic. He had those same black and red eyes. This time, he had the most deranged looking grin on his face, as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving his poor little fox friend as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I felt bad for Tails. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails. Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to trickle from Sonic's eyes as a grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified little fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in that split second, Sonic lunged at Tails and the screen went black. There was a loud scream. The text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. You want to try again?" And that stupid fucking laugh came with it. I was so shocked about what happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails were supposed to be best friends. Right? Why did Sonic do that? As I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select screen. Tails' save file was different. Tails was no longer in the box. He was in the screen that was displaying the level, which was flickering with red static. Tails' expression weirded me, or scared me actually. His eyes were black and bleeding, similar to Sonic's, and his orange fur had gone black. He had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles up next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black and stayed there for about another 10 seconds. This time, the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if this was a glitch or hack or some fucking prank. Or anything, really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of Scrap Brain Zone, but the sky background was the same one from the main menu. Had that dark, reddish, cloudy sky. But it was the music that creeped me out. It sounded like Gygas's theme right after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. Also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did. Though, not as much. He rather looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall like Tails. He looked at me if he wasn't sure of what going on. But I made him move anyway. He ran down a straight pathway in this dark level. As he did, the screen started to flicker. The red static a couple times. That stupid freaking laugh came with it. After a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains in the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear, again thinking something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down this bloodstained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those eyes again. And then the red static appeared when the static vanished, showing nothing but a black screen with text saying, "Found you?" I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What the hell was going on? Anyway, the red static came again, and I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking. Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, that high-pitched squealing from Silent Hill's one's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be a pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in a black pixelated cloud of smoke. I couldn't even land a punch. I couldn't even land a punch on him. A terrible laugh went on and on again. Knuckles was panicking even more and I even felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick and twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. He kept vanishing, and I kept trying to punch him over and over again. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing, and I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. Then in that split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles, and the screen went to black. Another distorted, screaming noise lasted for 3 seconds. Another text message appeared on the screen. So many souls to play with. So little time. Wouldn't you agree? What the hell? Just what the heck was going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu. This time, the second file had Knuckles in the same like TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray. His dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too, similar to Tails. He had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think that those were the actual characters trapped in those level screens on the save files. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it, so I shut the game off and took a break. I took a nap. Kinda wish I hadn't, because I began to have the most weird and fucking disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness, though I was under a light given off by a lamp that hung high above my head. I could hear the cries of of Knuckles and Tails. They were saying stuff like, "Help us!" and "Why did you give us to him?" and "Run away before he gets you too." The cries died out as I heard Sonic laugh. His laugh sounded a lot more like that distorted Kefka-like laugh. "You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. Just like your friend Kyle. Though he didn't last too long." I was scared, looking for the source of that voice. "Won't be long now until you join him and all my other friends." Saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out in several directions. "You can't run, kid. You're in my world, just like the others." When he grabbed me, I saw his bleeding black and red-eyed grinning face, and I woke up sweating. After a couple hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening, so I turned on the computer and turned on the game and selected Robotnik. Though I still thought that was wacky playing as Robotnik anyway. Anyway, the level title appeared then. This time it just said ... which I found really freaky. This time I was in some sort of hallway. It didn't look like it was from any of the Sonic games. Though it had this pixelated style. The pixelated style of the games. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark grayish purple with animated candlelight and a few dark bloodstains here and there. And there was even a dark red curtain hanging above the top of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, that red curtain would sway very slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it. The music was oddly pleasant. The piano was rather playing a sad yet peaceful song. But I knew better. This was the same song that played in Tails' level, Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse. Robotnik didn't look, or Eggman didn't look entirely nervous, like Tails and Knuckles did, but he had this suspicious look on his face as if he was just a bit paranoid. He did a little animation where when I just left him standing, he turns his head to the left and then to the right twice, and then he shrugs at me as if he has no idea where he is or what was going on. Even though I was scared right now, I had to know what was going on. Had Robotnik continue onward, he did this usual running animation, you know, the one in Sonic 2 where after you beat Silver Sonic, he runs to his Death Egg robot. As we continued going through the hallway, then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was nervous. Even Eggman seemed unsure of himself, though I pressed onward. As I led Eggman down the stairs, I noticed that the walls had gotten darker and more reddish. Red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed in another hallway, which this one was now longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And we headed down another flight of stairs. This one was longer. It took at least one full minute. And then I heard that horrid Kefka-esque laugh again. Then the music slowly faded until it was quiet, as did the walls. The walls turned dark and more red. The torches were now a black flame now. When Eggman landed on the third hallway, I noticed how he looked really creeped out. He tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped right in front of Eggman the same way he did Knuckles, and then red static covered the screen for about 15 seconds, and then it showed me the most unpleasant image. The image showed a hyper-realistic version of Sonic standing in the darkness where you can only see his face while his head and torso faded into the back. When I say hyper-realistic, I mean he looked so real you could actually see the lines of his blue fur. As if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face, oh god. He had the most horrifying smile I'd ever seen. And that's saying something, considering I saw that image at the start of the game. But it was pixelated. His eyes were wide and black, once again crying blood, which also looked hyper realistic. God damn it, I really hate that word. And there were two small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if I was staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to the size of his face like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. Except Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking and somewhat yellowish from the look of it. He had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips, and fangs as if he ate some sort of animal. I stared at that gruesome image for about 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off of it. I felt as if it was actually looking at me, smiling at me. That face. It took just 10 seconds for it to itch itself into my brain for good. The screen flickered with red static again 3 times. And on the third time, I heard the Kefka-esque laugh. Except this time, it sounded distorted, even demonic, even. When it went back to the image, again, this time there was a message written in blood. It was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I ever looked at since I was playing this game. It said, "I am God." It was when I read the message while looking at Sonic, it hit me. I realized right then and there, this version of Sonic was a monster, a pure evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster, and all of his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, and possibly Kyle, are his little toys in the game, and the game is the very gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, Sonic lunged at the screen, screaming loudly with his mouth open wide to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literal smothering abyss of pure darkness. Red Static came again, this time much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. I I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for about a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped. It showed nothing but a black screen. As I sat there, staring at the black screen, one last piece of text came up. Ready for round 2, Tom? The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind me. I played again 3 times as I looked at the text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu. This time the third save file in the level TV image thing of Eggman in the same tormented state as Tails, Knuckles. Eggman's skin turned a dull gray. It turned pale. His mustache dropped and had blackened. His glasses broke and blood was coming from them. He had a mere dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I teared up a bit. I pitied their agony, for the agony they were going through. They were trapped forever within the game, tormented by this horrid thing, and they always will be. Then the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I just sat there for maybe like 25 seconds, horrified by what just happened. This Sonic was the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his games in many more ways than one. Then when he gets bored, he drags you into the game. He literally drags you to his world, aka his hell, where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there. At least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me, like a whisper. Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom. I turned around to see where the voice came from, and what I saw made me go pale. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with the bloodstains under its eyes. So that's the reread of the story. I don't really like the writing because it's kind of sucks, and so I tried to make it a little more bearable for you guys to listen to. So yeah, this was me rereading Sonic.EXE. I might do. I will do the remake. I'll probably release them because they're chapters, like in each individual chapters. But before that, I might do like Mighty.Zip or another Sonic Pasta. But I think Mighty.Zip will probably be next. Anyway, have a good day. Peace.